You have to understand the world it was born into. It was a quiet world, or at least it tried to be. America in the mid-1950s was holding its breath. The war was over, the economy was booming, people were moving to the suburbs, buying new cars, and raising families. There was a script. You went to school, you got a job, you got married, you bought a house with a white picket fence. Everything had its place, and the music had its place too. It was polite. The big stars were people like Perry Como or Doris Day. Their songs were smooth, professional, and safe. The melodies were simple, the emotions were clear. They sang about holding hands, or puppy love, or feeling blue in a gentle, acceptable way. The music was like the furniture in your parents' living room. It was nice. It was comfortable. It didn't challenge you. It was meant to soothe, to be a pleasant background noise for a pleasant life. But underneath that quiet surface, something was stirring. Teenagers didn't exist in the same way they do now. You were a kid, and then you were a small adult. There wasn't a separate culture for young people. You listened to your parents' music, you watched your parents' movies, you were expected to follow the script. But that generation, the first to grow up with the shadow of the atomic bomb, the first to be truly targeted by mass media, was starting to feel restless. They were bored with the quiet, they were tired of the script, they were looking for something of their own. And there was another America too, a whole nother world that existed alongside the world of Perry Como and white picket fences. It was the world of Black America, and it had its own music. It was called rhythm and blues. It wasn't polite, it wasn't safe, it was raw, it was born from struggle, from pain, from joy, from life lived on the margins. It had a beat you could feel in your bones. It was about things the mainstream didn't want to talk about. It was the real, unfiltered sound of human experience. This music mostly stayed on its own side of the track. The radio stations were segregated. Record stores were segregated. The music industry kept a firm wall between race records and the white pop charts. It was a wall built on fear. Fear of the unknown. Fear of what might happen if these two worlds collided. Fear of what that powerful, honest rhythm might awaken in their own children. So you have this perfect storm brewing. A generation of restless white kids searching for an identity. A powerful hidden music filled with everything they were missing: energy, emotion, danger. And a country built on a rigid separation that was starting to show cracks. All it needed was a spark. All it needed was someone to kick down the door. The story of this song starts not with a rebellious teenager, but with a man who heard the future. His name was Sam Phillips. He ran a tiny recording studio in Memphis, Tennessee called Sun Records. It wasn't a fancy place, it was a small, unassuming room, but magic happened in that room. Sam wasn't just a businessman, he was a visionary. He loved the raw, honest sound of the blues. He recorded legends like Howlin' Wolf and B.B. King. He knew this music had a power that the whole world needed to hear. But he also knew the reality of 1950s America. He famously said, "If I could find a white man who had the Negro sound and the Negro feel, I could make $1 billion. That sounds cynical now, but what he was really saying was that he needed a bridge. He needed a translator, someone who could take the soul and the power of black music and deliver it to the white teenagers who were secretly starving for it. He was looking for the spark. The song itself already existed. It wasn't new. It was a blues tune written and recorded by a man named Junior Parker. Parker was a brilliant musician. His version of the song is a masterpiece of atmosphere. It's slow, haunting, almost spooky. It drifts along like smoke in a dimly lit room. The rhythm shuffles like a tired man walking down a lonely road. The harmonica wails. And the story in Parker's version is one of loss and fate. A train is at the center of it. Trains were a powerful symbol in the blues. They represented movement, escape, and destiny. They could take you away to a better life, or they could carry your loved one away forever. In Junior Parker's song, the train is a thief. It took his baby. He's left standing there watching it disappear down the tracks, feeling helpless. And then he says the train will be back, 15 coaches long, and it's going to take him away too. It's a song about surrender. The train is a force of nature, like a storm or a river, and you are powerless against it. It's a beautiful, mournful piece of music. It's the blues. This song, in this form, was not a song of rebellion. It was a song of acceptance, of world-weary resignation. It was a ghost story set to music. It was a piece of art that existed firmly within the world of rhythm and blues. For it to become a symbol of something else, something explosive and new, it needed to be completely reborn. It needed a new engine. And then the spark walked into Sun's studio. He was a kid from Tupelo, Mississippi. A truck driver. He was shy. He was polite. He called Sam Phillips sir. He had slicked back hair, a little bit too long for the times. He wore flashy clothes. He bought on Beale Street, the heart of Black Memphis. He looked different. He didn't fit into the clean-cut world of 1950s conformity. So he was an outsider, and he had a voice that Sam Phillips had been waiting his whole life to hear. Okay? This kid didn't just sing, he absorbed music. He grew up dirt poor, listening to everything. He listened to the country music of the Grand Ole Opry on the radio. He snuck into black gospel tent revivals and felt the spirit move. He soaked up the blues from the musicians on Beale Street. He didn't see the walls the rest of America saw. To him, it was all just music. It was all just feeling. Country, gospel, blues, it all swirled together inside him and came out as something new. Something nobody had ever heard before. He came into Sun's studio to record a song for his mother. But Sam Phillips heard something more. He paired the kid with a guitarist named Scotty Moore and a bass player named Bill Black. They fumbled around for a while, trying to find a sound. They tried singing ballads like Dean Martin. It didn't work. It was forced. It wasn't him. Then during a break, the kid started goofing around. He picked up his guitar and started playing an old blues song, Arthur Big Boy Crudup's That's All Right. He sang it fast. He sang it with energy. Bill Black joined in, slapping his upright bass, making it sound like a drum. Scotty Moore filled in with these bright, jumping guitar licks. It was an accident. It was spontaneous, and it was lightning in a bottle. Sam Phillips, in the control room, knew it instantly. "What was that?" he yelled. "Do that again?" That was the birth of a new sound. It wasn't country, it wasn't blues, it was something in between, it was rockabilly. It was the sound of rebellion taking its first breath. For about a year, this kid and his two-man band recorded a series of songs at Sun that would change the world. They were raw, electric, and alive. They were the opposite of the polite, polished music on the radio. And then came their last recording session for Sun Records in the summer of 1955. They needed one more song. They decided to try that old Junior Parker blues tune, the one about the ghost train, but they weren't going to play it like a ghost story. This kid wasn't interested in resignation. He wasn't interested in being a victim of fate. From the very first note, you know something is different. Scotty Moore's guitar isn't hazy or mournful. It's a clean, sharp, driving riff. It sounds like the clack of train wheels on a track, but picking up speed, heading somewhere with purpose. Then Bill Black's bass comes in with that signature slap, providing a relentless, propulsive rhythm. There are no drums. The whole rhythm section is just one guitar and one bass, but they create a sound that is bigger and more powerful than a whole orchestra. It's sparse, but it's unstoppable. And then the voice comes in, it's floating in a sea of echo, a sound Sam Phillips had perfected. The famous slapback echo that made everything sound like it was happening in a huge cavernous space. The voice is young, confident, full of swagger. He's not moaning the blues. He's singing with a kind of joyful defiance. He sings the same words as Junior Parker. Train I ride 16 coaches long, but the feeling is completely different. When Parker sang it, the train was an omen. When this kid sings it, it sounds like he owns the train. He's not a passenger, he's a conductor, he's in control. The real moment of rebellion, the twist that changes everything, comes in the second verse. Like in the original, the train has taken his baby away. He's left all alone. A traditional bluesman would dwell on that pain. He would sing about his loss. But this kid does something radical. He looks that fate right in the eye and rejects it. He sings with an almost cocky optimism, but it never carried a thing but the girl I love. Now that train has gone, sorry and gone. But it's coming back, loaded down with love. And then the killer line, the one that defines the whole performance, that train that took my baby, is going to bring her back again. This is not the blues. This is the opposite of the blues. The blues is about enduring hardship. This is about conquering it. It's a complete reversal of the original song's meaning. The train is no longer a symbol of inevitable fate. It's a vehicle for wish fulfillment. It's a symbol of hope. It's the sound of a young person refusing to accept the world as it is and deciding to remake it in their own image. It's the sound of saying no to sadness, no to loss, no to the way things are supposed to be. The vocal performance is incredible. It's light and airy, almost ghostly at times, thanks to that echo. But it's also tough and self-assured. He hiccups, he slurs his words, he sounds like he's making it up as he goes along. It's perfectly imperfect, it's human, it's real. There is no sadness in his voice. There's only the certainty that things are going to work out, that his baby is coming back, that the future is bright. This recording was the sound of a new generation finding its voice. It was the sound of optimism in the face of the quiet desperation of the 1950s. It was a statement. We will not be sad, we will not be quiet, we will not accept the script. We will take the train that is supposed to carry us to our doom, and we will turn it around and make it bring us everything we've ever wanted. When this record, and others like it, started to hit the airwaves, the reaction was seismic. The kids got it immediately. This was a sound they had been waiting for, even if they didn't know it. It was music to move to, music to drive to, music to fall in love to. It was music that spoke to their own feelings of restlessness and hope. It didn't sound like their parents' music. It was theirs. It was a secret code, a shared language. It created a line in the sand. On one side were the adults with their polite music and their rigid rules. On the other side were the kids with this wild new sound blasting from their radios. The alt world, the establishment, was horrified. They didn't just dislike the music. They feared it. They heard the raw energy, the heavy rhythm, and they heard danger. They heard its roots in black music, and that terrified them. Preachers gave sermons against it, calling it the devil's music. They said it would corrupt the youth, that it was a plot to destroy American values. They called it jungle music, a barely veiled racist slur. They saw this white kid with a sneer on his lip, shaking his hips, singing this black-inspired music, and they saw a threat to their entire way of life. And, in a way, they were right. He was a threat. Not a malicious one, but a cultural one. He was breaking down the walls, he was taking the music of one America and selling it to another. He was showing white kids that there was another way to feel, another way to move, another way to be. He was sexual in a way that pop stars were not allowed to be. He was rebellious in a way that was not just about acting tough, but about a fundamental attitude towards life. This one song became a perfect symbol of that rebellion. It was a blues song, the music of the oppressed, transformed into an anthem of youthful confidence. It was a song about a train, that great American symbol of progress and destiny, being hijacked by a new generation and pointed in a new direction. The song itself sounds like it's in motion. It never stops, it just keeps chugging forward, relentless, and optimistic. It doesn't ask for permission, it just goes. It was also the last song he ever recorded for Sun Records. Soon after, his contract was sold to the major label RCA. They would smooth out his sound. They would add backing vocalists and bigger arrangements. They would make him a global superstar, a Hollywood actor, an icon. He would make many more great records. But he would never again sound this raw, this pure, this free. That's why this particular recording holds such a special place. It's the sound of the rebellion at its source. It's the sound of the spark just as it's about to ignite the fire. It's the sound of a kid in a small room in Memphis, Tennessee, changing the world by accident, just by being himself. He took a song about a train bringing sorrow and turned it into a song about a train bringing hope. He took the blues and gave it a rock and roll heart. The rebellion wasn't just in the lyrics. It was in the beat. It was in the echo on his voice. It was in the swagger of Scotty Moore's guitar. It was in the simple, defiant act of a white kid from Mississippi singing a black man's song with a new kind of soul. A soul that belonged not to one race or the other, but to the young and the restless everywhere. It was a declaration of independence set to a rockabilly beat. The train wasn't a mystery anymore. It was a promise of a future that you could shape for yourself, a future that was loud and fast and exciting and all your own. It was the sound of a door being kicked open and a whole new world waiting on the other side. The song was Mystery Train.